Hey, what's happening? We're an hour into the day here on Thursday. I'm done. Two winners, one loser. Just wanted to run through those trades. Looking back on the morning here, very choppy. Our breadth and our AD line have been stuck. This is the flattest we've been, but we've been in that 1-to-1 range and very low AD line. So basically a tug of war that's very balanced. And so the first trade I took as we had our little gap up, filled the gap right away, started in this downtrend. This 59.50 line is the 15-minute low, and then this 50 and a quarter is the 30-minute low. The first thing I did was, waited for that downtrend to form, and when we made this low here, we bounced back up to the 21 EMA, which also happened to line up with the 15-minute low. This wasn't a perfect inverted hammer, or sometimes called a pin bar, but we made the bounce to the 21, were rejected off that 15-minute low, and so I took that one one tick below the lows. That one actually, the candle closed, the next candle dropped a tick, and then it bounced back up, and then I was able to drop my order. So it had technically already traded the one tick below, and then I dropped my order after it kind of made the bounce back up. So I saw that as a very bearish entry because price was rejected off the 15-minute low. But then as soon as we came and broke lows of the day, we immediately bounced. If you were watching trading this morning, watching right here, we broke lows and then immediately shot back up. And when I see the breadth and the AD line very flat, and then price come down and be rejected off of a new break of lows, that's a very weak sign for continuation to the downside. So at that point, I'm still in the trade. We bounced and formed this inverted hammer, broke that candle's low, and at that point, since that's now a swing that's broken, or that's formed because the market's come down, we bounced, and then we broke the high of the low bar. I put my stop one tick above that candle, and so there was hope. The market had formed an inverted hammer again right at the 21, started to roll over, but it was not able to break lows again. So that took me out for -2 points when we broke the high of that inverted hammer over here. We actually formed another inverted hammer, but at that point, I don't like to always jump into trade right away after I close a trade. There are some instances where I might reverse, but it's very few and far between. Like, let's say we came down and formed a strong hammer at lows. I may consider closing out a short position and getting long, but like I said, it's maybe 1 in 20 trades that I would do that, even maybe 1 in 30. But as we continued on here, the downtrend stayed intact, and we started to form a bit of a triangle. And then when I saw this inverted hammer, I liked how the tail poked up above these last couple of highs, and then price was immediately rejected. So since this first short did get momentum, I mean, we almost made it. We were like what did it go to? 5.5 points. So I was 2 ticks away from getting that +6. So when I see a trade earlier in the day get momentum, and you can't argue that this first entry bar got momentum, we had a big red push down, that does give me confidence to take trades in that same direction. So I decided to take this inverted hammer here short. This one moved down very quickly, and I had to put my order 1 tick below. Like by the time the candle was closing, I was kind of watching. It was at a 56.50, and we were kind of right at the bottom of that candle as the time was approaching the top of the hour. So I actually put my order in at 55.75 as I was kind of watching it. It was kind of counting the ticks as they were dropping. And those are the toughest situations to get into a trade, when the candle closes right at the low. But this one kind of dropped, bounced a little bit, but then it dropped quickly. So it didn't really matter, but my order was 1 tick below the low. or I guess 2 ticks below the low. So that one got, again, a nice strong bar push down and made it to its +6, but look at how we were rejected at the lows. We bounced as soon as we went into a new low, formed a hammer. So I was able to get +6 on that second trade and then kind of reset and assess, okay, we've made 2 pushes into new lows, both were rejected. And then shortly after that, we formed this hammer, and this is a higher low. So this would be, these first 2 trades are with the trend. Those are going to be your safest trades, trading in the direction of the 21. As once you can kind of master those and get really comfortable, then you can start introducing counter trend trades going in the opposite direction of the trend. And the real key there is I like to wait for a higher low to form before going long, or a lower high to form before going short. And so here we have the low, we rally 1 bar, we pull back, and when this hammer forms, once its high is broken, that solidifies that hammer is a higher low. So at the time, we don't know if this is going to be the lowest bar in the pullback. But if we were to break the candle's high, then it does solidify that it is a valid higher low. And so by putting an order 1 tick above highs, that gets you into the trade at the same time that it's validating that it's a higher low, if that makes sense. So this was a nice long setup as a counter trend move. And again, we did get very strong follow through right out of the gate on all 3 of these trades. So even though, as I was looking back here in the morning, it's like, oh man, what a sideways choppy mess. But as you're going through trading in the morning, sometimes it's the opposite. It's a mess and it's hard to make sense when you're actively trading. And, if you kind of look back on the day, some things seem a little clearer because you have, more information. Today was a little bit of the flip side. I felt easier to read in the moment as it was happening. But then as we get, kind of reviewing it here, you're like, oh yeah, with the breadth and AD line really flat, that is very much what we're seeing, just a flat consolidation here, kind of down near the bottom of the 30-minute range. And that was the other thing that was important. At this time, when we formed this hammer, we had solidified the 30-minute range. We were about 40 minutes, 45 minutes into the day. So if we're trading within the 30-minute range, we have a good chance of being range bound. So we formed the higher low, and then we kind of took off from there. We pulled back. I did move my stop underneath this spinning top candle once we broke its high, and then we were able to just get up and make that +6 move before we rolled over. I think we went a little more than that, almost just about 7 points we went to. So I was able to get maybe it was like 6.25, I think it was. Able to get that +6, and then we rolled over. So the -2 on the first one, all 3 had good initial follow through, but got stopped out on the first one for -2, and then a +6 on the second push down, and then a +6 here, and gonna call it a day at that point. So from there, we did roll over and push back into lows, and then look what happened. We were immediately rejected, and here we are back inside the 30-minute range. So this breadth and AD line is super, super helpful to kind of give you an indication of, are we likely to trend or not? It doesn't mean that we can't trend when the breadth and AD line are inside 1-to-1 and when the AD line's inside of, say, 400-500. But when price is rejected and we have a 1-to-1 breadth, and we're starting to flatten out, you have a much better chance when those multiple kind of indications are lining up that we're just not going to get the follow through to the downside. And so when I see a flatter breadth, that gives the counter trend trades more weight or more chance of working out. But if this breadth was, let's say, -3-to-1, then the downtrend has a lot more weight. We have a much more likely chance of trending when the breadth is stronger in the direction of the trend. So hope that's helpful. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments below. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all soon.